announcement came out, because I had gotten information that some people related to the president insisted on procuring light crude oil in a certain manner, which Dubik, the MD for ECG, resisted. Because when ECG and the other stakeholders in the energy sector appeared before the Mines and Energy Committee somewhere in May, June, the cause of the load shedding then was inadequate fuel. Because this government hasn't added any infrastructure to the gas processing plant they inherited, and I can confirm to you that not even 1 kilometer of pipeline has been added to what this government inherited. Now demand has stripped the supply of gas, and so there's a deficit of about 60 MMscf. So they have to procure light crude oil at about $40 million every month. That translates to about $180 million by the time this year ends. But that is not even the problem. The key problem is who procures the light crude oil. We've maintained that VRA, being the lead agency in the generation sector, should rather be procuring the light crude oil for the other entities. But when Ken Ofori-Atta was minister, he insisted that the procurement is done directly under his instructions, and ECG is then instructed to pay directly without recourse to the cash waterfall mechanism. And you and I recall that PRC has been up in arms with ECG, because when they do that, they no longer adhere to the principle of the cash waterfall mechanism. And so recently, Dubik has tried to exercise his authority and to do what is right and proper. That has led to the decision to kick him out. He was determined to do what is proper, what is right, and restore to the cash waterfall mechanism, such that if anybody wanted to buy fuel, it will reflect in the cash waterfall mechanism. We'll know those behind the procurement of fuel so that we can track it. But he was asked to exit, and unfortunately, he's exited. And that is why he cited personal reasons for his decision to exit. But the painful thing is that by the end of the year, we'll have a debt of about $480 million on account of light crude oil. Meanwhile, Tullow has put together a proposal to government to ramp up the production of gas by an additional 100 MMscf. That will be enough to meet our requirement. The government has not responded positively, and so as a result, there's a deadlock, and we will continue to procure light crude oil. This month, they've not been able to procure enough light crude oil, and so there's a deficit of about 500 megawatts, leading to the current load shedding that we are experiencing. Precisely so. And not just that. Tullow has been supplying gas, and since January to date, not even $1 has been paid to Tullow. You can cross-check from Tullow. Please cross-check from Tullow. ENI has also been supplying gas. Indeed, ENI, the ENI floating storage unit, which is the FSRU, has an integrated gas processing plant as part of the FSRU. Now, FPSO, floating storage and production and offloading unit. As we speak, ENI has not been paid, and so ENI has drawn down on the guarantee to an extent that out of the 500 million, the guarantee is now 120 million. They are threatening to withdraw the remaining 20. Once they draw down the remaining 20, it means that technically Ghana is in default. It will affect the World Bank guarantee, and it will affect all guarantees provided by the World Bank. So as we speak now, ENI has reduced its supply of gas due to non-payment of gas. This is because all the monies accruing to ECG, a chunk of it is channeled into the procurement of light crude oil to the detriment of the payment of gas, culminating in shortage of gas supply. And now, because of the shortage in gas supply, some of the thermal plants are unable to run, and we are low because of the gas shortage.
Now,
that is inaccurate. Even when the gas processing plant was being renovated or worked on, there was no load shedding because at that time they had some minimum amount of gas. Now, as we speak, gas is not coming, but more importantly, there's a shortage of light crude oil. And because there's a shortage of light crude oil, we are unable to produce enough power. Ghana Gas has its own challenges, but most of our plants are dual fuel plants. When we say they are dual fuel plants, it means that they can run both on light crude oil and they can also run on gas. But ask them, is it true that ENI has reduced supply of gas or not? And what is accounting for ENI's reduction of the supply of gas? Is it true that since January to date, we've not paid even $1 to Tallow because they've used all the money to procure light crude oil? IPPs have just issued a threat, threatening to curtail the supply of power because about $1.2 billion of our standing liabilities has not been paid. The PURC itself, which is the regulator, recently came out with a letter to the president indicating that ECG was on the brink of bankruptcy. They also stated that ECG was not abiding by the cash water flow mechanism and rather paying for light crude oil off the cash water flow mechanism. Government of Ghana itself, MMDAs, it is in the report. This is not me saying it. Since August 2023, 200 million cedis every month, the Ministry of Finance has failed to pay that money. It's ballooned to about 1.8 billion as we speak. If you do a rough estimate of the fresh energy sector liabilities, it takes you to almost $2.3 billion current liabilities that ought to be paid in order for the sector to function well. And so that is a fact. And sometimes my advice to Gridco, and the ECG MD was doing it, listening to politicians and telling us untruths. When there was load shedding, they told us they were servicing some transformers. But when we summoned them before the Mines and Energy Committee, they considered that they were shedding load due to inadequate fuel. And that report was signed by Atachia. Honorable Atachia is a member of parliament for Abuakwa South, if I got it right. He's an MPP member of parliament. So he wouldn't sign a report which goes against his government if it's not true. So they should stop peddling falsehood, deal with the issue, restore integrity, take away the unnecessary political interference, and allow the regulator, the PURC, and the sector agencies to make independent decisions and serve the people of Ghana. Ghana Gas alone cannot be the cause of the load shedding. We've had situations where Ghana Gas completely shuts down for routine maintenance, and we knew they were going to do routine maintenance. So why did they not buy enough fuel to stop this period? I refuse this. It's not true, and it's false.
Now, JJ, I'm sure that you've seen the ASEP statement issued on the 9th.
If you doubt it, go and look at ECG's financial statement. Their latest financial statement. In 2016, ECG made a profit of 316 million. From 2017, when they started this political interference, they started making losses. Their latest financial statement, 1 year, the loss they made was more than 10 billion. When we were leaving office, the losses was 22%. Today is more than 32%. No utility can survive with a loss of more than 32%. Kenya, Tanzania, and Co. They do a loss range of between 2% and 6%. You are doing 32%. Aside that, forex losses, about 500 million. So clearly, the sector is collapsing. That app was supposed to double their revenue to about 2 billion. They are currently doing around 850 million. And so clearly, it hasn't solved the problem. The problem rather appears to be worsening and exacerbating. At this rate, Randy, at this rate, if we do not stop the bleeding, if we do not turn things around, the entire energy sector will collapse. And that is a fact. That is why we brought on the PDS deal with about $500 million from the United States government to reduce the losses to 8%. These guys went and brought their cronies and eventually told us that the people they brought ended up swindling them. And today, look at where we are. Even Ghana has been blacklisted. So Compact 3, which other countries are enjoying, Ghana has been blacklisted. So what ASEP is put out is true, is a fact, and the figures speak for themselves. These are official figures, either from ECG's statement, from the cash waterfall mechanism, from PURC, from Gridco. You can check, even in the oil sector, because the oil sector has an impact on the power sector. Crude oil production has declined by more than 30%. That is unprecedented. ExxonMobil has exited Ghana, and Adako has exited Ghana. ENI is in court with the Republic of Ghana, and the sector is collapsing. Every sector in the energy sector is bleeding. And I hold a view strongly, that if we do not get this cabal out of power, investigate them through forensic audits, and hold those responsible, look, they'll continue to milk the energy sector, and the energy sector will collapse eventually.
I like to also note that those who were not able to qualify were not able to correct the errors identified with their nomination forms, hence their disqualification. This afternoon, the agents of the candidates who qualified to contest as presidential candidates for the 2024 election will ballot to pick their positions to determine the order in which they would appear on the ballot paper. And I believe that we'll be welcoming them shortly. Distinguished citizens, as we head towards the 7th December general elections, we urge all of you to work with the Commission to strengthen and uphold the integrity of our systems and the Commission as a whole. Our doors remain open, and we assure our stakeholders that we are receptive to constructive feedback and advice. Indeed, the feedback and advice from Ghanaians, which we receive on a daily basis, has helped to enrich our work and enabled us to serve you better. Before we bring the curtain to a close and go on to the balloting for positions, we would like to wish all the qualified candidates the best of luck in their bid to ascend the high office of the presidency. We urge all candidates to engage in a decent campaign, a campaign based on policies and programs that will lead to the betterment of our society. As referees, our role is simply to arrange and organize orderly, fair, transparent, and credible elections. We assure you that we are working to do just that. We as a commission do not have the power to determine who wins elections. It is not in our control to determine the outcome of the election. The power indeed lies with the good people of our dear country. It is only the citizens and the citizens alone who can determine who should lead them, not the Electoral Commission. It is the candidate who is given power to lead this country by the citizens who will be declared the President of the Republic of Ghana by the Electoral Commission come the 7th of December 2024. To the aspiring presidential candidates who did not make this process, we wish you better luck next time. Your filing fee would be refunded to you. And to all of you, our distinguished citizens, we thank you for believing in us and for walking this journey with us. We pledge that we will conduct ourselves in truth and integrity and organize free, fair, credible, transparent elections come December 7th, 2024. We will not let you down. On your part, we charge you to uphold and defend the good name of Ghana and her institutions. So help us, God. May God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make our nation great and strong. Let peace reign. Thank you. Yeah, so let's do that.